Hello and welcome to another conversation. With me is Miss Bonita Jones, and joining me in observance of Women's History Month. She's an educator who's big on family, cooking up new recipes, and an avid reader. She's also my sister-in-law. Welcome, Nita. How's it going?
Going pretty good, Chris. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, look, I've been trying to get you on here for a while. We're just trying to find the right topic, right? To make
Yes,
it as
most definitely. And I
to make
think
it
this
as how should I put it? To make it as flavorful as possible, I guess.
good pun on words.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, with respect to National Women's History Month, um, I've conducted a couple of interviews and panels thus far, and I mean they've just been really cool. Just hearing the stories and listening to the ladies highlight and spotlight women in their lives who have truly just motivated and inspired them. Right? We're gonna get to that in a minute or what have you, but I would first like for you to let us know a little bit about you.
Well, believe it or not, this is year 23.
23.
In year 23, time has gone by really fast. And as they say, it's been a good ride. I mean, I won't say it's been great every year, but the majority of it has been a good experience working with children. I've been a special educator for 23 years, taught middle school, high school, and elementary. And I just love what I do. I have taught reading and writing, high school, did major in biology, but if a kid needed help with biology, I became the biology teacher. If they need help with history, I became the history teacher. So, as a special educator, the term says special. You actually specialize in whatever the children need help with. So
Oh,
that's pretty much what I do. And right now, I am working at a middle school with primarily eighth grade students who are getting ready to go off to high school. So they're looking forward to that experience.
oh boy. I know we can get into some challenges when it comes to, the kids at those ages.
Yes.
Especially the eighth graders, like you said, who are readying to head over to high school thinking, you start, as we said in the South, you start to kind of smell yourself a little bit.
Exactly.
Oh,
Well, anybody that has had teenagers or been in education and know that age between sixth grade to eighth grade, I think that's just the hardest years. I think they're
man.
just going through adolescence, getting to know themselves. So it can be challenging, but there are a lot of good experiences with it as well.
That's awesome. How did that feel of education um, initially get your attention? How did you gravitate to that field?
Well, Chris, being honest, when you're in school, especially once you get to high school, you're saying, what is it I'm going to do when I graduate? And I always knew that I wanted to work with children. Um, the plan for a long time was to become a pediatrician. I wanted to be a baby doctor. And went off to college, got a little distracted working, and you know how college life is. And I said, well, you know what? I know I still want to do something with children, but I'm going to put this pediatrician thing to the side for right now. So I end up graduating from college with a degree in social psychology. So I said, well, maybe I'll become a child psychologist. And again, for whatever reason, that changed. Took a little break from school, went into the Air Force for 4 years, and got out. And I had my degree, and I said, now what am I going to do with this degree? And I said, you know what? And I always say it wasn't my decision. I truly believe it's the direction that the Lord led me.
Okay.
And so the summer of 1997 was looking for a job. And I called around to different districts in my area. Are you hiring? Are you hiring? And I called this one district and I said, "Are you hiring?" She said, "Well, are you looking for a job?" I said, "Most definitely." And I said, "What about special ed teachers? Are you
Hmm.
hiring for special ed teachers?" And she said, "We are." And so went through that process of, filling out an application, got
Hmm.
an interview, got hired, started at a middle school teaching seventh graders math and reading. And that's how the career of being an educator came about. But again, I do have to give the Lord all the credit because I
Hmm.
don't think it was of my choosing going from pediatrician to child psychology and just have been working with students ever since.
Well, as I listen to you lay that out, it is there's obviously there's one common denominator. The kids, the children, the youth.
Yes.
Yeah, but something you said too. You mentioned uh, special education was like that was always at the forefront of your thinking though. Like what where did that come from, if I can ask?
Well, I think just the person that I am,
Mm,
the way that I was raised, so much care was put into me. So I've
mhm,
always been the person that I've always advocated for the underdog.
mhm,
And it wasn't that I had so much experience dealing with anybody or any person in particular with special needs. I just am a people person.
okay.
And I knew that with special education, those are the kids that require that extra special something.
Mhm.
A lot of times when I meet people and they say, "Well, what do you do?" And I say, "Oh, I'm a special ed teacher." "Oh, that takes a special person." Well, I'm not tooting my own horn to say I am that special person, but just the fact that I love and care about kids, that is very much needed being a teacher and especially a special education teacher. It requires a lot of patience.
Yeah, I can imagine. I've heard some stories.
Yeah,
I'm friends with a lot of educators, administrators, or what have you.
yeah,
And yeah, taking on this special education role takes a special person to do it. And patience. You mentioned
yeah,
patience a couple of times.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I hope I've done a good job over the years. I've never been fired, haven't been put on any kind of teacher plan to improve. So I think
yeah.
I'm doing a pretty good
But
job.
no, yeah, I know you are. I've heard be it bits and pieces from your sister, your mom, or whomever,
Yeah,
and I mean, I I've come to know you
yeah,
quite well. So no, that's all. So in the midst of all of that, 23 years in themselves, in and around special education and administrator, what have you. What are I was going to ask you one of your most memorable experiences, if you will, but you can share more than one if it comes to mind.
Well, one comes to mind, and I'll make it quick, short, to the point.
Uh-huh.
Well, in that same year, August of 97, getting hired for my job, I was just happy to get a job, really. And so there are rules and guidelines being a special ed teacher. You're only supposed to have so many kids in your room at one time. And so this year, I had about, probably shouldn't say it, but I think I'm safe now. They assigned about 20 kids to my room and they gave me two assistants. Well, I said it kind of seems like that's too many kids for a special ed class.
Okay.
But they said, "Miss Jones, will give you all the help you need." So again, I had two assistants.
Mhm.
And what we did, we took my large classroom and put two dividers down the middle of the room. So I had two classes within a class,
Mhm.
and I would have an assistant on both sides. And I might have one side of students working on math, and I would go over and do my thing. And then I would flip over to the other side and have the other kids maybe doing some reading. And we really worked that out my first year of teaching. And I would say, even now, with that experience, that was my best year teaching. A lot of those kids I still think about, 20 some years down the road. I wonder how they're doing. But that year, Chris, we were recognized by the superintendent for the work that we had done with those kids. At the end of the year, they took what they called an end of grade test. And they said that my students had performed just as high as the regular ed kids, and some of them had even performed even higher.
Wow.
So it was just, something we did. But again, just being a teacher, you just have to have a passion for what you do. And
Man.
those were some really good kids.
Okay. Yeah. Now
Yeah.
they say that like the proof is in the pudding. You know,
Yeah.
putting in that type of work
Yeah.
and getting those type of results under
Yes.
in that environment, and like you said, having the utmost level of patience and everything else that comes along with it. That's quite an accomplishment, and yeah, I think something like that would totally stand out to me too from one of my
Well,
greatest memories.
it was for the children. It's nerve wracking even for adults to take tests and assessment.
Right.
But when you have a disability in reading or writing and you're already struggling,
Hmm.
and then at the end of the year, they're putting the pressure on you to say, you have to pass your test so you can go to the next grade. That's a lot of pressure on kids.
Right.
But those kids that year, they did very well. And to my understanding, most of them have done pretty well. I think one young man, he went into the military.
Okay.
A couple of them went on to college. And I haven't been able to keep up with a lot of them, but for the most part, they've done pretty good. Yes, so I'm proud of that.
Let's go ahead and segue
Okay.
to um, from we're talking Women's History Month primarily, right?
Yes.
So, in terms of a woman whose shoulders that you're on still, who has inspired you, motivated you, all of that good stuff, right? Would you care to share your first lady from a personal perspective?
Oh, most definitely. And I don't have to think about that one. I would say definitely my mother. My mother for sure, Selma White, as we fondly say sometimes, Sergeant White. Um, as many people may or may not know, she's a 20-year Army veteran. And I stand on her shoulders. My mother had me when she was a teenager. And as her only child at that time, I admire her so much, and her courage to say, you know what, I'm a young mother, but I'm not going to let that hold me back. And she graduated from high school with a diploma. She said, you know what? I made that sacrifice in 1974 to go enlist in the Army. My mom didn't want me to go. She was saying, you know what? I'll help you with the baby. And I want you to go to college and all of that. And she said, no. I was determined that I was going to make a better life for you and for me. And it was a lot of sacrifices. And as a little girl growing up, you don't realize that all you want is your mother. And she would be on leave and come home and for her 30-day leave, and I didn't want her to leave, but she was like, you know what, I've got to go back. But she left me, Chris, in very good hands, because if it was not for my mother and my grandmother, I feel that I probably would not be the person I am today.
Hmm.
When you are raised by someone that takes complete care of you and give you good morals and values and tell you that your education is important and never give up, And then you have a mother that you know as you're getting a little older. My mom's in the military and taking care of me. And some of the fondest memories were during the summers. If she was stationed in Texas, I would go for the summer. My eighth grade year in middle school, actually, I went to Germany. She was stationed in Frankfurt, Germany. So had a chance to go over to Germany for that year and experience the culture and the people.
Uh huh.
And how many people can really say that coming from a little small town?
Right.
And at the time, I was, I don't know what, in eighth grade, what are you, about 13?
Hmm.
And to be able to say, you've lived out of the country. So I just give my mother so much credit for just making me the person who I am. And I always say, Mom, do you remember you would always say to me, no matter what, get a good education? She said, Did I really say it that much? I said, You said it all the time. Make good grades in school so you can get a good education and go to college. And your question was whose shoulders professionally? My good friend, Miss Sandra Cooper. Now, Miss Cooper is a 30-year educator, retired. She's been retired now for about 7 or 8 years and absolutely loving it. And I'm hoping to just get to that point. But Miss Cooper, Sandra Cooper, is truly a beautiful person. When you say someone that would fight for special ed kids and their rights, Miss Cooper was the person to go to. She's like, no, I'm not having this, and I'm telling you. And just an amazing person, always upbeat, with a smile on her face. Not the type of person to sugarcoat things. They're not purposely trying to hurt your feelings,
Right.
but just that kind of person to just tell you the way it is. And and having worked with her professionally, even after she retired, we've become friends. And at
Okay.
least once or twice a week, she'll send me a little text and might just have some hearts, just thinking of you. But
Oh,
just a beautiful person. And in life, that's what you want. You want to have those friends that you truly treasure.
and just think about too from her vantage point, right? She's like, I remember when she was such and such and whatever age or what have you, and look at her now, or look
Yeah.
at him now, kind of thing. So, yeah, that phenomenon is just so, I guess, rewarding from both vantage points, I should say.
Yes, it is. It is.
So, Nita, I got to ask you too. So, educator, I know you cook. I know you're masterful in the kitchen. Okay, I got to go ahead and put
Well,
that out.
don't give me too much credit now.
Nope, nope. I am putting that out there again. I have to. It runs in the family, right?
Well, it does. It
But
does.
with the education, food, and I know you mentioned business ventures before, all types of stuff. But like, I'm curious too. What are some of your aspirations?
Well, I've dibbled and dabbled, so to speak, a lot in business, and a lot of it has been dealing with food.
Mhm.
But I think when all is said and done, when I do get to that quote unquote day of retiring from teaching, I still want to work with children. I know
Okay.
that maybe not the pressures of getting up by a clock every morning,
Mhm.
but I still want to work with children. In some type of school setting, maybe to open a small school. I think that we have to give back. Our young people, as they say, and you can tell that I'm probably getting older now. They are our future. Education is important, and I want to have a place where kids can come and learn, but we're also just teaching them those basic values and principles of what it is to be a good human being. public education is great, but it's a lot of things that just as a person that you need to know to be able to take you through life too. A degree is important, but if you don't know how to treat people a certain way or to carry yourself a certain way, it just kind of loses a lot of meaning.
Mm,
So really still wanting to work with young people, young children. Sometimes, even in my career, Chris, in education, there has never been a year that has gone by where I had to simply not be the teacher and maybe kind of be a mother figure to somebody,
mm,
or maybe sitting down and saying to a young man or a young lady, you know what? I know we're in a school setting, but you know what? I got to tell you, this is not the way to go. And so sometimes you become that second parent, the counselor. You wear a lot of titles as a teacher. And so it's just one of those things that I love. And I think that's just part of who I am.
hmm. No, yeah, I get it. I get it. So a lot of what you just shared kind of in a way captured what I wanted to kind of close and ask you about. And it's piggybacking on the main thrust of what we're here for, Women's History Month, right? But
Mhm.
it's your history. I tell people, and most folks have internalized the fact that we are living history ourselves, right?
Right.
We're making history each and every day. 20 years from now, 50, 100 years from now, folks are going to be talking about the Bonita Joneses of the world. But specifically from that perspective, like, and I know you just touched on a few things, but from a legacy perspective, what do you want your life to have said about Miss Bonita Jones?
Wow, that's a loaded question. But honestly, I think when all is said and done, I would want someone to say that Bonita Jones was a person who loved children.
Mm,
Teaching is a job, it's just a way that I make my living, pay my bills, of course. But I truly love children. I just feel like the passion for any child just comes again from the way that I was raised. My grandmother just took so much time and patience with me and said, this is what you need to do as a young lady. This is the way you need to act, the way you need to sit. One of her most quotes that I kind of remember growing up. She said, a person's feelings is truly all they have. And so when I work with children, I try to teach and work with them the way I would want someone to treat my children. And just from elementary school all the way through high school for myself, I just had some wonderful teachers. So I want to be remembered, Chris, just as a person who loved children, did right by children, was a friend to children when they needed a friend, was the second mom when they needed a mom, was just there when they needed someone to just talk to or a shoulder to cry on.
hmm.
And if that is how I can be remembered, then that'll be my most happiest time here on earth.
Yeah. No, no, beautifully put. Yeah. No, and as you were saying it too, I mean, again, me knowing you, I can see all of that. I've seen your passion, your drive, just that some people, we say it all the time, right? Some people are just here in certain
Yeah,
capacities, right? And I say that some people in certain capacities because it takes some people longer than others to find that purpose, right? To walk in their purpose kind of thing.
exactly.
So for someone to have known, like yourself and many others that I'm sure you can attest to as well, to have found that it, right, if you will, and being able to be a part of it and walk in it for such a long period of time. That's just the ultimate blessing. I
Yeah.
tell you.
And I'll tell you a funny thing
Hmm.
is that there have been like 1 or 2, maybe 3 years in there that I've said, you know what? This was a rough year. I'm going to go and do something else.
Mm.
But once you get your rest during the summer, you go right back. You're just as excited as you were the year before. And
Uh,
so it sounds crazy. It's like some days you get off from work and you're like, man, I can't wait till Friday.
uh,
But you get your rest on the weekend, do what you need to do,
yeah.
and you go back to work on Monday. The kids depend on us. Education is important. I was
Right.
told before, education is a noble profession. You don't make a lot of money and you're not going to be a millionaire from teaching, but it's a good profession to be in. I know teachers we don't always get all the accolades, but our work
Right.
is important because we do have some say so about the future doctors and lawyers and auto
Yes.
mechanics and judges and
Yeah.
all of that. So I hope that a lot of the students that I work with, I hope they go on and do something really great in life. At least I can
Um,
say I taught that kid.
and you know what, that's part of it too. That reward
Yeah.
that's reciprocated. You knowing that you played a vital role, right, up close and personal, with helping to shape that young mind, who is
Yes.
now, like you said, is now a doctor, lawyer, business owner, whatever. The list goes on and on. So
Right.
no, that's awesome, Nita. I'm glad you came on and just shared all this information and
Well,
shared your.
I certainly appreciate you having me on your show. And
Yes.
you've had some courageous and some beautiful women these last couple of weeks. I've been watching the videos, and
Oh, okay.
I don't know that I'll quite measure up, but you know what? If nothing else, people will know, hey, that lady, um, she's passionate about what she does, and I am. And I'm going to do these
Uh huh.
next couple of years and then
Uh huh.
have some flexibility and keep on trying to make a difference in the lives of some children.
No, absolutely. But Nita, that's it though. You mentioned the other um, interviews and the panels and such, right? That you just watched. But everyone has a story, and
Yeah,
they're just so unique to me. Our
yes,
lives are filled with multiple stories, right? As we all know that. But I just like hearing the stories, collecting them, gathering them, and conveying them in a way that is going to the folks who listen in. They always get something from what this lady, what this guy, young, old, whatever, had
right.
shared, and I just find that so it's beneficial, and that's rewarding to me personally when I conduct these. So
Okay.
I'm
Well,
glad you came on and shared.
thank you for your platform and continue to do your good work.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You're always pushing me, motivating me as well. I have a lot of people behind the scenes pushing me and supporting via watching the videos and making recommendations,
Yes.
asking questions about certain things just to make it even more meaningful. So I appreciate you. But again, thank you for coming on, everyone. That was Miss Bonita.
Thank you, Chris. Have a good evening.
You too. That
All
was
right.
awesome. And well, again, that was Miss Bonita Jones, educator, sharing her motivational women who inspired her from a personal and professional perspective. I knew she was going to share her mom, love her to death. But this has been an awesome exchange. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. As you know, you can like us on Facebook, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I want to make this clear, follow us on Instagram now at Chris Jones Life. Okay, Instagram at Chris Jones Life. Thank you guys for continuing to support lifewriting.com, where writing speaks.